When God gives an urgent assignment, it comes with a divine weight that cannot be ignored. The chosen ones feel it deep in their spirit before they even fully understand it. It begins as a spiritual stirring, an unshakable sense that something is about to shift, that heaven has released an instruction meant specifically for you. This urgency doesn't arrive through fear but through conviction, a holy knowing that God has appointed this moment in time for obedience. When the Spirit moves like this, delays become dangerous, and hesitation can cost divine opportunities. God's timing is not open for negotiation because His plan depends on perfect alignment. The chosen ones must act when He speaks, not when it feels convenient. The urgency of heaven requires immediate faith, immediate trust, and immediate movement. This is not a season for questioning but for responding. God does not send assignments to the unprepared, He sends them to those who have been refined by fire, tested in silence, and trained in waiting. You are not being chosen now, you were chosen long ago. What's happening in this season is the activation of your obedience to a command that was written in your destiny long before you faced the struggles that shaped you. When God releases a non-negotiable instruction, it will often come in a way that disrupts your normal routine. You will feel a spiritual pull away from distractions and into deeper prayer, solitude, and clarity. You may begin to notice divine confirmations everywhere, numbers repeating, prophetic dreams, random words aligning with what your spirit already knows. These are not coincidences, they are divine signals to act. The urgency is heaven's way of saying that the window is open now, but it will not remain open forever. When God calls, He expects obedience without debate, faith without proof, and surrender without control. The chosen ones who respond in this hour will carry divine authority, not because of their power, but because of their submission. The assignment is not about doing what you want, it's about fulfilling what heaven needs from you at this exact moment. It is about carrying out a spiritual operation that will unlock blessings, shifts, and changes in realms you cannot yet see. Obedience in this season is warfare. The enemy will try to plant doubt, confusion, or delay, but those who are tuned into God's frequency will recognize the deception. You are not being rushed by fear, you are being moved by divine urgency. The atmosphere around you will begin to feel intense because your spirit is aligning with something greater than you. God will place divine instructions on your heart that seem uncomfortable or even illogical, but your obedience will open doors no one can shut. You might be asked to walk away from something that once felt essential, or to step into something that feels impossible. That's how you'll know it's from God. It will stretch your faith to the edge of surrender. This assignment is not meant to destroy you, it's meant to awaken your purpose. When heaven calls, it doesn't consult your comfort zone. It requires your yes, even when you don't understand the full picture. Every chosen one must learn that divine urgency is not panic, it's precision. God moves at the perfect time, but He often calls His people to act when things appear uncertain. That's because obedience builds trust, and trust releases power. When you move under divine urgency, you become a vessel through which heaven manifests its will on earth. The instructions may seem small: send a message, start something new, leave something behind, speak a truth, or stand firm, but these acts of obedience create spiritual ripples that change outcomes. What may look like a simple task to you could be the answer to someone's prayer on the other side of the world. That's why your obedience matters. The urgency you feel is not just about your life, it's about God's plan unfolding through you. The moment you say yes, the divine machinery begins to move, aligning people, opportunities, and resources to support your obedience. You cannot afford to negotiate with God in this season. The assignment is sacred. Heaven does not operate on your timeline, it operates on divine timing. When the Spirit says move, you must move. The delay of obedience is still disobedience, and every time you postpone God's instruction, you postpone your breakthrough. Many chosen ones are standing at the edge of a divine shift, and all that's required is their obedience to step into what God already prepared. This is why the pressure feels so strong right now. It's not punishment, it's activation. Heaven is pressing on your spirit because it knows the time is now. Your yes will unlock divine favor. Your obedience will bring supernatural acceleration. Your trust will be tested, but it will also be rewarded beyond what you imagine. In moments like this, God often strips away distractions. People may suddenly exit your life, opportunities may close, or things may stop working the way they used to. This isn't chaos, it's divine clearing. God is making room for the assignment He's giving you. He doesn't want you entangled with what could pull you off course. Every removal, every silence, every rejection is part of divine preparation. The urgency you feel is heaven's reminder that the time to act is now. You are being called to rise above comfort and move into divine instruction. The spiritual realm is active, angels are being dispatched, and your obedience is the signal they're waiting for to intervene. God is saying, I need you now, not later. The chosen ones must understand that when God declares a command as non-negotiable, it's because the impact of their obedience will shift something far greater than they realize. Every trial you've endured, every delay, every loss, and every storm you walked through was not random, it was divine preparation. The chosen ones never receive their assignment without first enduring a process that builds their endurance, humility, and spiritual strength. The battles you faced were not punishments, they were training grounds for obedience. Before God gives you a powerful mission, He tests your patience, your faith, and your loyalty. You had to be broken in places so light could pour through you. You had to be stripped of things that once defined you so that you could be rebuilt according to God's plan. Every silent night where you felt forgotten was a classroom in disguise. Heaven was watching how you reacted when doors closed, when prayers seemed unanswered, and when the world overlooked you. You were never being ignored, you were being refined. God was building the kind of faith that moves mountains, not the kind that collapses under pressure. During your preparation, God taught you the difference between isolation and elevation. Many seasons felt lonely, but that solitude was sacred. He pulled you away from people and environments that would have corrupted your mission. When God is preparing a chosen one, He will hide them until the right time. He allows misunderstanding so that you don't depend on human validation. You learned to hear His voice above the noise of opinions. You discovered strength in surrender, peace in uncertainty, and clarity in chaos. Every obstacle was meant to make you spiritually fluent in His language. You now recognize the signs, the inner nudges, the divine timing that others overlook. That's why your spirit feels the shift before it happens. You've been trained to sense movement in the unseen realm. God used your pain as practice for power. The tears you shed watered the very ground that will now produce your harvest. The preparation was not just emotional, it was spiritual warfare. You had to learn how to fight battles in prayer, not in flesh. You were trained to silence fear with faith and to respond to attacks with worship. God toughened your spirit so that when the real assignment arrived, you would not be shaken by resistance. Every rejection strengthened your discernment. Every betrayal purified your motives. Every closed door redirected you closer to your divine path. The things that once broke you have now become your weapons of wisdom. You understand the cost of obedience, so when God calls, you move with conviction. You no longer need external approval to confirm what your spirit already knows. That's the mark of the chosen ones, they act in divine authority, not worldly recognition. You've been through the hidden curriculum of heaven, and now your spirit carries the evidence of endurance. Your preparation also reshaped your relationship with time. You learned that divine timing doesn't bow to human deadlines. When it looked like nothing was happening, God was building what eyes couldn't see. You wanted quick answers, but He was developing depth. You wanted movement, but He was forming maturity. In the silence, your spiritual roots grew deep enough to sustain the weight of your future. If He had released your assignment earlier, it might have crushed you. Now, after everything you've survived, you have the wisdom to carry it. You no longer chase opportunities, you wait for divine alignment. You trust that when God says now, it's because every piece of the puzzle has been prepared. That trust is what separates the trained from the unprepared. The chosen ones don't panic when others rush, they move when heaven moves. The trials also taught you discernment. You can now sense the difference between a distraction and a divine instruction. You've learned to recognize spiritual warfare dressed as opportunity. You've learned that not everyone around you can go where you're going, and not everyone who claps for you is for you. The pain refined your spiritual vision. You can now see through masks, hear truth in silence, and detect shifts in the spirit before they manifest. This level of awareness didn't come easily, it was forged through seasons of confusion, heartbreak, and loss. But now, because of that preparation, you are equipped to handle the weight of a divine assignment without losing focus. You've become spiritually sensitive enough to move in obedience even when logic disagrees. That is the maturity God was building in you all along. Through your trials, God also trained your heart for compassion. He allowed you to experience pain so that you could minister to others with empathy instead of judgment. Every wound you carry has become a doorway for healing others. Every test that tried to break you has become a testimony that strengthens others. The chosen ones are never elevated for themselves, they are elevated to lift others through their obedience. Your preparation shaped your heart so that when your moment came, you would lead from humility, not pride. You now understand that power without compassion becomes corruption. That's why God took his time molding you. He didn't just want to prepare your skills, he wanted to purify your spirit. You had to learn how to handle rejection without bitterness, success without arrogance, and correction without resistance. All of this was spiritual conditioning for the assignment now at hand. The waiting period also revealed who God truly is. You learned that he's not just a provider of blessings but a teacher, a refiner, and a protector. You learned that when he removes something, he's not punishing you, he's protecting you from premature exposure. You began to understand that divine delay is not denial but direction. You realized that obedience matters more than visibility, and purpose matters more than applause. These revelations came slowly, through nights of wrestling with uncertainty, but they anchored your faith. They taught you to trust God's methods even when you didn't understand his timing. Now, as November arrives, the season of preparation is ending, and the season of activation is beginning. But the lessons you learned in the fire will remain the foundation that sustains you when the pressure increases. You've been forged in silence so that your obedience can speak loudly when God says the time has come. This November is not an ordinary season, it is the moment where your purpose meets divine timing. For the chosen ones, this is the month of activation, the moment where everything God prepared you for finally begins to unfold. The urgency in your spirit is not random, it's heaven's signal that it's time to move. You've been hearing the call, feeling the pull, and noticing the alignment of signs that confirm your next step. This is not a month for hesitation or spiritual sleep, it's a month for action led by faith. God is releasing instructions that require immediate obedience. You're being asked to step into your divine assignment with courage, even if you can't see the full path ahead. The activation of your purpose will not come through comfort, but through surrender. Every delay has brought you to this defining moment, and now your obedience is the key that unlocks the next phase of your destiny. The divine assignment being released this month carries weight. It's not about doing more, it's about becoming who God designed you to be. You will feel an internal shift where things that once satisfied you no longer hold power. Your spirit will crave deeper alignment with God's will. You'll be drawn to move differently, think differently, and detach from distractions that no longer serve your spiritual growth. That's the evidence that your purpose is awakening. Heaven doesn't wait for your convenience, it moves when your spirit is ready. You've already endured the purification process, now you must walk in your calling. For some, this activation will come as a bold instruction, a move, a project, a message, or a confrontation you've been avoiding. For others, it will be an inward shift, where God calls you to higher discipline, deeper prayer, and sharper spiritual awareness. Whatever form it takes, you'll know it's divine because it will challenge your comfort while expanding your capacity. In this season, divine action requires faith that overrides logic. You won't have all the details, but you will have direction. God never gives the full map because He wants you to rely on Him step by step. The chosen ones are called to walk by revelation, not sight. This means you must learn to move even when things don't make sense yet. That's where spiritual power is born, in the space between obedience and manifestation. Each act of faith you take this month will create ripple effects in the unseen realm. The angels move when you move. Miracles unfold when you trust the instruction without hesitation. The spiritual atmosphere in November is heavy with purpose because heaven is searching for vessels who are ready to carry divine responsibility. You are one of those vessels. The energy you felt building is not anxiety, it's spiritual acceleration. The longer you delay, the more pressure you'll feel, because heaven is insisting that you move forward. God has been speaking to you in quiet ways leading up to this moment. The same repeated numbers, dreams, and messages you've noticed were not coincidences, they were confirmations. The divine is orchestrating events around you to push you into position. Conversations, endings, and new connections are all aligning for this exact moment. You might not see it clearly, but your steps are being ordered. The shifts you feel in your spirit are not random, they are part of God's divine strategy. Some people around you won't understand why you're moving differently, but you can't seek their validation. This assignment is between you and God. You were not chosen to be understood, you were chosen to be obedient. The time has come for your spirit to rise above fear and step into divine momentum. Heaven's eyes are on those who move when He speaks, not when the world applauds. This assignment will also require courage to separate from things that drain your spirit. God will not allow you to carry old energy into a new season. That's why relationships are shifting, habits are being exposed, and your comfort zones are breaking. It's divine pruning, not punishment. To walk in your purpose, you must be willing to let go of what no longer aligns with your anointing. The chosen ones are often misunderstood during activation because obedience looks radical to those still living in compromise. But your obedience will inspire others to rise higher. When they see you move with divine confidence, it will awaken something in them too. Your life is becoming a living message, a testimony of what happens when faith meets instruction. You are being used as an instrument of divine demonstration, and that's why you can't quit now. As you walk through this month, your faith will be tested. The moment you step into divine purpose, resistance will appear. The enemy fears obedience because obedience unlocks heaven's power. You may face sudden distractions, unexpected delays, or emotional battles, but don't let them pull you off course. Stay anchored in prayer. Speak what God said, even when you can't see results yet. Heaven moves through words of faith. Remember, obedience doesn't mean you won't feel afraid, it means you move forward despite the fear. Every step you take in alignment becomes a declaration of trust. The chosen ones who follow through in this season will see rapid manifestations, breakthroughs, opportunities, and divine connections that prove the assignment was never about struggle but surrender. This divine urgency is not meant to burden you, it's meant to awaken you. God's call comes with empowerment. The same Spirit that gives the instruction also provides the strength to fulfill it. You don't have to rely on your own ability, He will guide your words, your actions, and your path. All He needs is your willingness. November will reveal why you had to wait, why things fell apart, and why certain doors never opened before. It was all leading to this moment of divine activation. The chosen ones who answer now will not just walk into purpose, they will become catalysts for transformation in the lives of others. The light within you will begin to shine so brightly that even darkness will recognize your authority. This is your moment to stand in full alignment with God's will. You have been prepared, refined, and chosen for such a time as this. Heaven has issued a non-negotiable command because the world needs what you carry. You are no longer being prepared, you are being sent. This November, let obedience become your anthem and faith your movement. Walk boldly into the unknown, for the path ahead has already been written. The divine assignment is not optional, it is sacred. Trust the calling, embrace the urgency, and let your steps become the echo of heaven's voice on earth. This is your time, your mission, and your moment to rise.